For this tutorial, I'm going to recreate a 3rd degree burn that I think was caused by chemicals, like a chemical burn. And I'm going to start by marking out the burn placement with some alcohol inks. And then I'm going to put down a layer of pink silicone. I'm using Inflamed by Dermaflage for this. Then after spreading it out with a spatula and leaving it to cure for a couple of minutes, I'm going to mix together these 2 colors of pus and ooze to make a light yellow coloring. And then I'm going to place some of that coloring in the center of the upper part of the wound, and then some of that yellow silicone around the outside of the wound as well. Now I'm going to put a couple of spots of this blood red silicone onto the finger based on where that coloring is in my reference image, and I'm going to blend out that red silicone just a little bit with my spatula. Next, I'm going to use the color Porcelain. Next, I'm going to put down this very pale flesh tone color called Porcelain around the edges of the wound to recreate that dead and damaged skin. And I'm going to blend out that edge and then make it a little bit more textured towards the end of the fingertip. I'm also going to apply a little bit of that lighter flesh tone color in the center of the wound as well, and then also blend that out. I'm also going to put a very small amount of that original pink inflamed color over some of the areas of redness just to soften those edges and make it a little bit less vibrant. Next, I'm going to mix together the red rum and the dusty rose color, and I'm going to place this mainly around the border of the wound, along where it meets the skin, and a little bit along the center, especially around that blood red silicone. I also put a little bit of light mauve over that top blood red section, just to try and make it a little bit more subtle. Now I'm using the pure white pigment from the effects palette, going around the border of that dead skin coloring, and then bringing it a little bit through the center of the bottom half of the wound. Again, I'm just copying the coloring from my reference image, but it does look a little bit too opaque, so I'm going to go back over it and try and blend it down and soften it a bit. To do this, I'm going to mix together the dusty rose and the light mauve coloring, and I'm going to place that around the inside of the wound and bring that over the white pigments as well. I also extend it onto the skin around the wound just a little bit, just to make the skin look a bit inflamed. I've mixed up some more of that oozed colored silicone, and I'm going to place that on the top and bottom half of the wound. Now, using that red rum color, I'm going to put a couple more spots of that blood red coloring around the outside of the burn wound, and a couple bits of coloring on the inside of the burn wound as well, around those already red silicone patches. I'm trying to keep it quite light, and of course my camera's gone out of focus here now, but you'll be able to see in a second. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of gray coloring onto the skin, again copying the reference image. I'm going to use this shadow color from the Bluebird character palette, and I'm going to place that mostly around the knuckle, but I'm also putting just a little bit around the edges of the rest of the wound towards the fingertip. Then I'm going to go in with a clean fluffy brush and a little bit of isopropyl alcohol just to blend out that edge so it's not as obvious. And my camera did stop recording here, but I put a layer of KY jelly onto the finger to make it look a bit more glossy. And this is our finished burn makeup. And you can see there's still quite a lot of movement because it is silicone, which is generally quite soft. And then it's got that glossy KY finish to make it look quite goopy and sore. You could probably achieve a similar looking burn using just the pigmented silicones without using the alcohol paints, but I just love using the alcohol paints for those extra subtle details that you can add in. Thanks so much for watching this. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you again soon.